My name is Terry Cunningham, and this is the State of the City address. We purposely are pulling the State of the City address out of the City Commission chambers and bringing out to the public so that we can have a little bit more relaxed conversation and a two-way conversation. The Commission has been involved in more meetings outside of the Commission room than I've ever seen with the Commission. Those are neighborhood meetings, those are UDC meetings, coffee with the Commissioner, and I hope that you all appreciate the fact that we are attempting to build that two-way conversation. I bring you greetings from 5 members of the Commission, myself, Deputy Mayor Joey Morrison, Commissioner Jennifer Magic, Commissioner Douglas Fisher, and Commissioner Emma Bodie. I will preface this presentation by saying that I, as mayor, am only one of 5. So I believe that everything in this presentation is factual based, but when we get into the question and answer, there may be some opinions. And keep in mind that when I tell you my opinion, I'm speaking on behalf of myself, that my colleagues might answer that question differently. Thank you for being here. We could not have been able to do this without Emily, who has been a person who's been out taking photographs and sourcing all kinds of material. She works with our neighborhood services, our neighborhood group. She's our liaison with Allison, with Julie, and with Emma. Julie and Emma are going to wave their hands. They are question cards. If you have questions, please flag them down, write your questions there. They will, at the end, sort of sort through those, categorize them by topic, and ask those questions. And I promise to leave some time for that as well. So I promise you, I'm not trying to persuade you of anything or sell you anything today. I'm going to be providing some facts about Bozeman. One of the first things that we like to do is a cultural acknowledgement. One of those cultural acknowledgements is to recognize the many tribes that shared this land long before we were here. The Blackfeet called this valley the many come together place, and I think that's sort of symbolic of the way we would like to operate as a community, is many folks coming together, not warring, but taking advantage of the rich beauty of this land as well. Also, in 2016, we as a city adopted Indigenous Peoples Day. And 2 years ago, we made it an official city holiday. There has been an attempt over the past 6 years to have Indigenous Peoples Day enshrined as a state holiday, and it has never made it as far as it has made this year, thanks to the efforts of Marcia Smalls, former Mayor Carson Taylor, Shane Morajo of Missoula. This Indigenous Peoples Day has passed the Senate, and it has passed the committee in the House. We believe that there are enough votes to make Indigenous Peoples Day an official holiday for the state of Montana. And they're taking a broad view of indigeneity, not just, we all have our origin stories as a people, and this version of Indigenous Peoples Day recognizes that and celebrates all of the history that we have. So how is this presentation structured? Unlike other State of the City presentations, this one is going to be sort of fact-based. There's so much happening in the city of Bozeman that sort of escapes notice. Things that are happening every day that our staff works really hard at. And so I'm going to highlight some of those things. And it's sort of like, did you know? Did you know all these things were taking place in your city? And I hope that it instills pride in your city and in the city staff. My 7 years on the commission have taught me we have a talented, deep, and really professional staff who are doing great work every day, and I'm hoping to celebrate that. And then we're going to talk about some of the plans that we're that we're going to ask your help on generating as we start planning the future of Bozeman for the next 25 years, and then we'll take some questions as well. So in terms of did you know, we'll start with our fire department. Did you know that for the first 132 years of our fire department's history, there were no female firefighters. Our first female firefighter was hired in 2016. There are 3 female firefighters on duty today. We believe that female firefighters do as good, if not better job, than male firefighters. And why is this important? Because when we're looking about equal pay for equal work, having representation of female firefighters and police officers among our most highly compensated positions helps us to achieve those goals. Another bit of information from the fire department: we are seeking international accreditation from the Center for Public Safety Excellence. Anyone who's been with an organization that's gone through the accreditation process knows how rigorous that is. We would be, and we are on track to be, the first city in the state of Montana to have our fire department fully accredited, and there are only 311 fully accredited fire departments in the world. Another news from the fire department is we are going to be bringing quick response vehicles to the fore. That not every emergency that they respond to, mostly medical emergencies, require a large fire truck, that we can have a more nimble vehicle that can respond to those, not take up as much traffic, and be able to shift in where needed in the fire response. The other big news is, thanks to you and your support of Fire Station 2, we have now built Fire Station number 2 on the MSU campus. It's exactly where our long-range fire planning said that station should be. It's the first municipal building ever built on university system property here in Montana. It just shows the sort of town and gown relationship and how that's working for the benefit of everyone. And it's not just that we built it there, it's what we built there. We built perhaps the most sustainable public building ever erected in the state of Montana, with solar arrays, with heat pumps, water heaters, with solar walls. That big wall that has the MSU logo on it is actually a solar wall. Drought-resistant landscaping, all of those things. We're trying to set the example for how we believe buildings should be built in the future in Montana, and I believe that this is an excellent example of exactly that. Stormwater. Most people don't think about stormwater. Our stormwater utility is relatively new to the city. The top photo shows you, if you live in a relatively new subdivision, you have probably a couple of these detention or retention basins, and it looks like a really nice place for ducks to swim, but it's performing a really great function of capturing the stormwater and sometimes keeping it there, but oftentimes sending it elsewhere when needed. One of the newest subdivisions, Bridgerview subdivision, is having all of its stormwater captured on site. This is an example of the bottom 2 of the perforated pipe and the ground that they had, so that all the stormwater basically lives on site. But people don't know that because this is going to be a park area, a mutual park area. So that's something new. But there's many areas of our city where there are not these detention basins, and stormwater would be going into the creeks were it not for something. And we're working with DEQ and others to make sure that we're capturing the greases and the solids and things like that. So there are, and you drive over them every day and may not realize that they're there. These stormwater treatment areas, 21 of them are currently in place, 8 more are coming, and when we're done, all of the stormwater discharges into the creeks will be solved. You can see the enormity of what these are below ground, and on the right is just a sample of the pollution that is actually gathered, then that's taken off to the landfill when it reaches certain levels. So we are taking care of and being responsible for the streams through town. On the right, someone is actually measuring the depth of the pollution to try to determine, okay, have we reached a point where we should now be taking that out and bringing it to the landfill? On the left is a novel concept called a rain garden, where a rain actually is providing water sources for shrubs and flowers, etc. This particular one is sort of behind Kagi Corner on Mason Street. Again, passing by these things and perhaps not realizing all the benefits that's happening there. Speaking of benefits, In 2024, the EPA said, hey, all municipalities, all local governments, you must remove lead pipes from your system, and we're going to give you 10 years to do it. By the time the EPA made the announcement in 2024, we had removed all of our lead pipes from our water system. Now, there are lead pipes in certain buildings, et cetera, not city buildings, but all of our municipal water system that we're responsible for, there are no more lead pipes there. We're also working to replace any water pipes that are clay, and we're, through our capital improvement plan, are working through those. But our sewers, often those are made of clay tile, as you can see in the middle photo. And rather than replacing those, which can be fairly expensive and you have to excavate them, we're actually doing some slip lining. We're actually lining them with material that will allow this pipe to endure for generations. So a reminder that the city of Bozeman's drinking water has been named among the top in the nation in terms of taste. So invite friends from faraway places to get the vintage of our drinking water. We encourage that as well. Something else that is really exciting that's happening is at our water reclamation facility, our sewer plant. We are piloting with DEQ and with MSU on a novel situation of how do we remove the last elements of nitrate and phosphorus from our system. We do a great job in terms of removing those, but in order to remove from going from 95% to 96% to 97% requires possibly tens of millions of dollars of new investment. And so the concept of what's old is new again is being introduced there by actually planting wetlands and then running the effluent through there and before it's discharged. And we're finding really great results of the level of nitrogen, nitrates and nitrogen phosphates that are being removed there. So this is not just exciting in terms of our future ability to meet future strict water demands, but it actually could be the future for smaller communities. They could use this as their entire process, and DEQ is really interested in exploring that some more. We are introducing and rolling out an organics collection program, including compost. This is going to be the first city in Montana where that's available on a municipal basis. We're partnering with Happy Trash Can, and organics, especially food waste, has the highest level of methane of whatever we put in our landfill. So keeping it out of the landfill is really important. So very soon, you're going to have the option of regular garbage pickup, recycling garbage pickup, and organics, including yard clippings and leaves, et cetera, where these will be used in a positive way and kept out of our landfill. So that's coming. Bear-resistant totes. This is a map where you see red is where there are the most bear sightings. They follow creeks, waterways generally. And so recognizing that we want to limit the impacts of human-bear conflict, we are offering these bear-resistant totes in those areas where they are needed. Also in our compost area, we're building bear-resistant fencing to cut down on that as well. If you ever wondered what a bear-resistant tote looks like, a lot like this. Apparently these are smarter than your average bear, small, medium, and large. And these are the bear-resistant totes that we are offering to the community. Another thing that we are doing is updating our wetland code. We currently have one of the most protective codes in the state of Montana, and we want to do even better. We want to have local wetland banks. So for those areas where mitigation of disturbed wetlands is unavoidable, that we have the ability to add to our wetlands here locally. We're working with Sacagawea Audubon Society and others about that. And so rather than shipping our mitigated wetlands out to Twin Bridges, et cetera, being able to have them have additional wetlands added here to compensate for what's lost is an important thing. A sort of random but interesting thing is instead of just getting raking and sucking up leaves, we're now baling leaves. We are one of the first cities, the only city in Montana, using a leaf baler. It's a much more efficient way of gathering and disposing of leaves. So that is something that you'll see more of here in Bozeman. Aren't you just thrilled with all of this knowledge that you're getting? Anyway, so we're jumping around a bit, but there's a lot to tell. We have a good story to tell, and I'm glad that you're here to listen. In terms of our urban forest, you can actually go online, bozeman.net, and go to the forestry division and their tree inventory, and you can see this map of all the trees, boulevard trees and park trees that are there. And many of them, you can go a little deeper. Oh, I'm sorry, where are we going? All right, well, I've missed something here. A friction, we used to do, and still do a little bit of chip sealing. How many people just love driving through an area that's been recently chip sealed? All right, we have one, because you recognize that what we're doing is we're protecting roads from further deterioration. But it's kind of a tarry, messy type of thing. And now we as a city are doing friction road repair, friction seal road repair, which will keep it a lot less messy and a lot more efficient. We also have our victim services function that the county has one of these, but we are also have one at our public safety center. And why are we, when someone is the victim of injury, if they're injured in some way, if they're violated in some way, we can have conversations with them. We can have counseling with them. And this is an example of where we have the room set up where the parent is behind those windows on the left, and the child can be here playing and distracted and not have to listen to the often difficult stories that are being told in that room. So we are trying to provide compassionate care for victims of crime. Our renewable rate program is something we are working on with Northwestern Energy, with the city of Missoula, and with the county of Missoula as well. And the goal is to build a 50-megawatt facility that is renewable, that we will buy our municipal load electricity from, and the other cities and counties will as well. We'll also allow our commercial and residential users to do that as well. We are in the middle of those discussions, and we hope for be able to put it to the PSC soon. We have new landscape and irrigation guidelines. New development, we recognize that 50% of all water use in the typical household takes place in the summer watering your garden. And so developing a new landscaping standards that reduces the amount of turf and provides some innovative options will help us in the long haul. Water conservation is, thanks to you, is making progress. This just shows the per capita water use in Bozeman, and it is on the decline. So we appreciate the fact that people are taking water conservation seriously. We recognize that according to our long-range plans, conservation will account for roughly 50% of the water that we need for the future. Here's the urban forest slide I was talking about before. If you go to bozeman.net and you go to the forestry department, you'll see this. And it has all of the boulevard trees and the park trees that are being taken care of. I believe there's 27,000 trees. And if you're to press a little bit closer, you will actually get a report on those trees. So in this case, this is the Alder Creek Park, and I've just selected a 4-inch diameter honey locust there, and it shows you that it was pruned in 2019, pruned again in 2023 for the health of that tree. In terms of parks and trails, you all know this. You know that in terms of Bozeman, we have a lot of great trails, we have a lot of great parks, but how do we sort of compare to others? In terms of national averages, the average city has about 16 miles of trails and multi-use paths. We have 118. A lot of that is in great partnership with others, but it's also designing our developments so that they all connect to one another in a way that makes sense. On the right are the numbers of acres of parks per 1,000 population, kind of weird way measuring it, but it puts everyone on the same level. That here in Bozeman, we have 17.8 acres of parks for every 1,000 people, and nationally that's less than 11. And those parks could be everything from just natural spaces to where people can engage in play for kids, or volleyball, or all of those different ways that you can enjoy a park. Speaking of recreation, we redid the floor at the Story Mill Gym. That used to be the Boys and Girls Club, and we've been making steady improvements to that ever since. And we've been able to redo that floor and line it in a way that it can be used for lots of different sports, including pickleball. Yes, pickleball, one of the fastest growing sports. We are trying to be cognizant of the impact of neighbors as well, and so having additional indoor spaces is really important. I want to preface this by saying this is neither a rendering nor a photograph, it's clip art. But it indicates we're working with other organizations hand in hand. In this case, it's the Bozeman School District. They came to us and said, we would love to be able to, since your sports park is right across the street, we've got a couple of issues we'd like to be able to work through. One is we'd like additional fields that our kids can play on, and we also need a little bit more room for parking. Anyone's been around Galton High School has realized that there's a parking issue there. So we are working with them hand in glove, and our staff working with theirs in developing this partnership where there'll be 2 new synthetic fields added to the Bozeman Sports Park that can be used when the high school and the school district's not using it, and it can provide extra parking as well. One of the things I'm really excited about is veterans in our community have been waiting for this for a long time. They have the remains of veterans they would like to inter, but want to do it close to home so they don't have to travel to Helena, to Missoula, etc., to be able to visit their loved ones. And we have constructed now 2 of these I don't know if the plural of columbaria is columbariums or columbaria, so apologies if I've used the incorrect version there, but 2 columbariums have been added, and on the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month in 2024 on Veterans Day, the Southwest Montana veterans had a great ceremony that dedicated those. I'm very proud of that. What's new from our police department? Well, that's Copper. Not the guy, the dog. So Copper is the only canine school resource officer in the state of Montana. Trained to sniff out explosives, but Copper's greatest value is in providing that sort of icebreaker, that moment of relief, that compassionate hug, etc., in the halls of Galton High School, and breaking down the barriers between our resource officers and the students there. On the top right, we have hired a digital forensics expert to head up our digital forensic unit. Crimes against children and sex crimes are things that we take seriously and want to make sure we're protecting our community for. We also have a mobile crisis unit that when a call comes out and it's indicative that there is a mental health issue, a mental health crisis going on, we can send mobile responders who are specifically trained in that area. Oftentimes they are there with the police officers who make sure there's a safe environment for them to operate. Police officer leaves, and then our mobile crisis team can go in there and determine what resources or treatment the person in crisis needs. DEI has been has been interesting. I am proud that we are the first city in Montana to adopt a diversity, equity, and inclusion plan. And I'm proud to talk about it. We've identified barriers to full participation for our citizens, whether that's ADA issues and what are the barriers there. You can see on the right, this is a fully accessible playground at Christie Fields where no matter what your physical ability is, you can participate. Whether it's a language issue, we are now offering translation services wherever we interact with the public. Economic issues, if we have our Snow Angels program for those who are unable to clear their sidewalk or hire someone to do it, that we have volunteers willing to do that. Race, gender, and identity issues can be a barrier as well. And we all know that in 2008, there was a housing downturn where almost all housing construction stopped. And in 2008, 2009, 2010, even though housing construction went up, we had this deficit nationally and locally where supply and demand were out of balance. And so we have been averaging roughly 1,100 additional housing units per year. We're having a discussion now about how those can be integrated into our community best. So stay tuned for those. I promise you, we are listening. The Bozeman Public Library went through a renovation, always trying to keep up with the times, always trying to make sure that library is a source of creativity and exploration, and outreach and discovery, and that can take many forms other than books. It includes books, of course. There's a new area called the kitchen table, and there's a demonstration on Mediterranean cooking on your left. Then they have a maker space with 3D printers, with embroidery machines, etc., and that's a group of teens working on decorating wind chimes. Their bookmobile has had over 26,000 visits. We think of most of those as being kids, but we also go to senior centers, and we go to different parts of the community where it's not as easy to get to the bookmobile, and lots of library cards are being created there as well. In terms of our economic development department, one of our busiest departments, one of the things that they have identified and have been leaders of here in our community is the concept of industry clusters. What do we have to offer as a community that allows for good, high-paying jobs in certain areas? Some of those are because of where we live. You look at Sims and Oboes and Mystery Ranch, and trying to make sure that we are a place where companies can come and they will have folks who want to work for these companies because they enjoy that type of recreation, they enjoy that type of outdoor lifestyle. Also, MSU is leaders, national leaders, sometimes world leaders in the area of photonics and in the area of quantum computing, in biotech, technology. And it's these types of high-paying jobs that will change the world and address some of the biggest problems that we have, that our economic development department is working hand in glove with MSU. And I'm proud of the relationship that we have in that regard. We collaborate with MSU more than most people think. On the top right is a chart of the businesses created as a result of MSU innovation technology graduates as well. And the bottom right is a tech hub. MSU, the city, and the state Commerce Department applied for these regional tech hubs, and we were awarded one, and that means that there's $41 million to invest in good, high-paying jobs and great technologies. One example is Bridger Photonics, a company locally that sniffs out and detects leaks of natural gas and methane in pipelines for customers. Methane is, a huge pollutant, and being able to detect those and fix those fixes an environmental problem, but it also it makes a lot of economic sense for their clients as well. So what do? We've been working on the Innovation Campus, hand in glove with them. That's on 19th and Garfield. And there are new buildings there, new technologies being created there all the time. And Britt Fontenot and David Fine, Renata and Jesse are working on that. There are business recruitment, economic sector gardening, and hosting international businesses and visitors. We had a delegation from Taiwan. We had a delegation from Germany. We had a meeting the other night where we had the Consul General of Brussels, Norway, Croatia, Romania, and Poland at the table. Now we're sort of switching topics. We've talked about the fun things, or the did you know portion. This is the portion where I'm explaining what we need from you as we look towards the future, as we plan the next 25 years of Bozeman. That's our growth area in the next 25 years according to our community development plan. And these are areas where we believe there will be commercial nodes of walkable, bikeable commerce areas in Bozeman in the future. But the first thing I want to say about the concept of future planning is we are at our best when we do it together. Rather than it happen in commission rooms, we have been out, there's the UDC engagement sessions on the left, and doing a lot of listening, posing questions, getting good ideas. Every single plan that I've been involved in developing is made better by the engagement of the community. And we've also been out with our coffee with a commissioner. So I just wanted to make sure that you all knew that this is not, here are plans we're designing for you. No, here are the plans that we need help with. The first is our transportation plan. We are going to be developing and refining a new master transportation plan for our future. And that includes not just how do we get cars around efficiently, but also how do we have a robust transit system? How do we have a robust multimodal system? You all have voted for an urban transportation district that can accelerate the growth of our transit system. We are part of a metropolitan planning organization where we are planning with the city of Belgrade and the county, how do our roads connect? How do they make sense, et cetera? And safety is absolutely top of mind there. I want to talk about two things related to transportation and recreation, and these are sort of pet things of mine, but this is, imagine if you were able, in a separated use path, in other words, not on the street, to ride a bike or run or hike on a 28-mile loop around our community. That's what's reflected in the yellow that sort of goes south to north, et cetera, Cottonwood to 19th, to Nash, to Sourdough. The blue areas are areas that are already there, and the yellow are what we're planning for in the future. This is on our Pratt plan. I'm going to be making sure that the Metropolitan Planning Organization does this, and there'll be several different places where when you go there, there's parking, there might be a climbing boulder, might be a dog park, might be a playground, etc. So you can do the portion that you want, and it connects, if you look to the left, with trails that are already there. Valley Center is already a separated shared use trail. All the way up Jackrabbit, it's there. We're planning for Huffine as well. So it would be roughly a 40-mile perimeter loop around Bozeman that you can take advantage of. It's obviously something that's going to happen over a generation, but I think you have to start somewhere, and I think we should start now. Bike fill. There's roughly a 60-acre parcel of unused landfill that GVLT has come to us with plans and said we want to have all skills, all levels, all ages participate to the level that they feel comfortable with a bike riding course there. City will do some improvements to roads. It's anticipated that GVLT will bring more than $4 million worth of funding, and this is a type of public-private partnership that can benefit the entire community. We're going to be redoing our urban forest plan. We want you to help us define that. We want to make sure that we have equity among the various places in Bozeman, so there aren't areas where there's not urban forest and areas where there is urban forest. This is going to rely on partnerships a great deal as well. So let's plan our urban forest together. Our integrated water resources plan, our last one was in 2013. And we're going to be redoing that. We're just going to start the engagement process as well. The new information that we have as a result of what we believe is more accurate modeling of the actual water use of future development indicates that based on our sort of reliable supply during quote-unquote normal year, we use roughly 43% of the reliable supply. If you factor in the development that we are aware of and plug it into the future, that's 49%. If you look at a drought year, a 1 in 50 drought year, recognizing that there are various stages of drought, but in a 1 in 50 year drought, that we have, we use roughly 60% of we would use roughly 60% of available water and 68% if we were to factor in new development. Mentioned that there is a need for long-term deed-restricted housing for our workforce to make sure that snowplow drivers, school bus drivers, teachers, etc., can live in this community. And we have 1,600 of those in the pipeline. Not all of those will make their way forward, but I wanted to at least point out that that is what's in the pipeline. Where they go and how they're incorporated into our community are part of the discussions that we're having now as part of the UDC. The other thing that we are missing in terms of housing is sort of starter homes of if you're a young family, or you're a recent college grad and you're a professional, or if you're a senior moving out of a home and want a smaller place. We have a dearth of supply there. How do we get more of those so that, and how are they integrated intelligently into our community? That's a challenge that we're going to have to work with you all to develop. A project that has started, and we want more input from you all as we move forward, is our Bozeman Landmark Program. What are those places, those buildings, those structures, those neighborhoods that are so special to Bozeman that we need to provide them extra protection and designation? Those are what we're asking the community to help us with as well. Bozeman Creek, our namesake creek, has been culvertized, it's been hidden, it's been channelized, and over the years it has been polluted to a large extent where it is almost unrecognizable. The Bozeman Creek Resiliency Plan, which has been a commission priority, is getting underway. We are working with a citizens group called See Bozeman Creek, and the goal is to have the creek behave more like a creek as it's originally intended, and to increase our interaction with the creek so that we can have linear parks or places to just go sit and enjoy, and make sure that it can handle a 100-year flood as well. So we're going to need your help with that. This is one of the most beautiful photographs I've ever seen, and it's of our sewer treatment plant. Isn't that just gorgeous? They look great at sunset. But the issue here is we take great care of our wastewater. However, as we move to the south and to the west, we're spending a lot of money pumping that sewage uphill to this treatment plant, and believe that in collaboration with Belgrade and others, that we can, for future development, have our wastewater needs met in a regional way. That control panel at the bottom just shows you the control panel of a lift station that's pumping sewage sort of upstream, if you will. Another thing we have on the horizon is a new waste transfer station, so that we can have a place where the commercial loaders and you, quite frankly, can have a place to bring your goods that would ordinarily go in the landfill, so you don't have to make, and we don't have to make, and haulers don't have to make those trips out to the Logan landfill. And that would be for an inside facility. It would also take care of the brush and other things. So we are currently planning that, and there'll be wonderful opportunities for engagement as well. And mental and behavioral health planning. We're part of the Behavioral Health Coalition, along with Bozeman Health, with HRDC, with the Health Center, with Belgrade, with our Sheriff's Office, etc., in trying to cobble together a mental health system that has been decimated on a federal and state level, and it has fallen to us. We're making some progress. Bozeman Health has a new psychiatric emergency service unit, which we helped them fund. They have now starting inpatient psychiatric care in their facility, but we're still trying to identify gaps there, and we're trying to explore some creative funding options and making sure that the legislature keeps this on their mind. This is where we take questions, but I added a pocket slide Oftentimes people say to me, hey, can I come down to City Hall? Let's meet. I want to meet in your office. And I tell them, I have no office. And that is by design. We as city commissioners are meant to be part-time, according to our charter, officers. And the City Hall is where administration takes place. That we as commissioners are governance, like a board of directors. We set policy, we set budgets, etc. And in City Hall, that's where administration takes place. That's where our city manager, Chuck Wynn, is in charge of the day-to-day hiring, budget, planning, execution of planning, etc. And so as a result, we as commissioners, we don't have a place in City Hall because that could create friction where that bright line between governance and administration goes. So if you see a commissioner and he or she looks particularly jittery, it's because our offices are spread into other areas, usually coffee shops. What time have I left for questions? I want to make sure that we get you out here on an expedited basis. Okay, first question. I'm discovering this along with you. Fire station number 2 is a flagship building, environmental excellence. How can that excellence be incorporated into cities' unchecked development? Well, it's important that we as a city set the example, right? And so as we have needs for new facilities, whether that's replacing existing facilities or creating new facilities, setting that example in terms of resilience, in terms of drought tolerant landscape, etc., is important. And so related to incorporated into unchecked development, I would argue that our development is part of our community plan, that each development is indeed checked, that we have a community plan, we have annexation guidelines on the state and local basis, we have zoning preferences, we have a future land use map, and we are looking for how do we grow, where should we grow, and what are the checks and balances associated with that. So with every annexation decision, with every zoning decision, we're re-asking that question. But it does flow from our community plan that says if we are going to grow, if growth is going to happen in Gallatin County, the preference is to have it in cities like Bozeman and Belgrade, et cetera, that can handle and have the infrastructure to handle that development and can develop at an intensity that treats land as sacred, that is not wasteful, that has sewer and water that is highly regulated and highly inspected, as opposed to septic systems and wells, etc. So I may take an issue with the notion of unchecked development, but we are attempting to, when we develop and when we build, set the example for our community. Do you or will you support the Bozeman Water Adequacy Ballot Initiative? If yes, then why? If no, then why not? So we are, I believe, going to have an opportunity as a community and as a commission to learn more about the motives and the desires relative to that. I think we're going to have a public meeting where we learn what are the motivations, what are the desires, what are the expected outcomes. And so before I ever say how I'm going to vote on anything, I frankly don't say how I'm going to vote on anything, because when you're voting, you're doing it in a public place with public information, and you're doing it as a result of the best information you can have. So as a result, I don't know how I'm going to vote until I get the staff report, listen to public comment, and develop an opinion, hear my colleagues, etc. I will mention a couple things. One is cash in lieu is a tool that we have used for many years to help us be able to identify where our next sources of water are going to be. Generally speaking, that's been buying additional shares of Highlight Reservoir. With impact fees, with water fees, and cash in lieu, we have been able to address the future water needs of Bozeman. If we didn't have impact fees, cash in lieu, and charges for water, we probably would have stopped developing 25 years ago. The second component is the affordable housing component. I'm interested in learning how realistic are the goals that have been set. Can we expect 60% of AMI being developed, or for rental and 120% for home ownership? Is that realistic? Will anything be developed? Is that a goal that cannot be achieved, or could it be achieved? So in terms of cash in lieu of water rights, I'm interested in learning from staff. How often do we use it? How vital is it? When did we start using it? And what do we anticipate future uses will be? What are the impacts of taking that off the table? In terms of the affordable housing percentages, I'm interested in learning from a variety of folks. Can we expect any development? I mean, if the goal is to shut down development, we can set goals that are so low that no one can achieve them. Are these the right goals? Do they make sense? What do our economic development folks think? So I have questions, and I'd love to answer those and get them answered in a public forum. The next question. My view is Bozeman missed irreplaceable opportunities regarding parking requirements. Many motels and multifamily residential properties were built without adequate parking, which put the burden on neighborhood residential street-side parking. What considerations might we make going forward? So the number of parking spaces that are required, and there's required, and then there's what the developer believes over and above, perhaps, are needed. So we have set minimum parking standards for different developments, and it slides if it's affordable housing ordinance, if it's not, et cetera. And we're trying to get a balance, right? The balance is the cost of parking and the need for parking. The UDC is going to be talking about this, so that's part of why we're having this public discussion, is parking minimums, is to say, what do we need and what is reasonable, because parking impacts neighborhoods, you're absolutely right, impacts our ability to clean streets, plow streets, get through streets. And so on one hand, adequate parking is absolutely important. On the other hand, parking is one of the most expensive parts of development. So how do we find that balance is important. We have done some things in the past, like the parking garage downtown, as leased some spaces. That was an economic development tool to see if we can have a structure where we can park cars in a public space that will allow us to have a downtown hotel, which we didn't have other than a couple small ones before. So this is a give and take that we're going to be working through as part of the UDC, and it's an important conversation. I am up here without my clock. Emily, do we have a time check?
10 minutes.
Great. We got time for more questions. Perfect. Is there anything that can be or is being done about building more single-family homes? Is there anything that can be done to limit the conversion of single-family homes to rentals? I'll take the second part first. When we approve zoning, and we approve, and the staff approves a site plan, we're approving the form, not necessarily the use. So we do not say that should be rental, that should be for sale, etc. That is up to the market. However, we as a commission have taken action to limit the number of new short-term rental units that are available. The ones that are there are being grandfathered in, but we have seen other communities where the percentage of housing stock allocated to short-term rentals gets so high that you don't provide opportunity for the folks who live here. So there are some levers that we can have in terms of adjusting that. I'll also say that Single-family homes are legitimate rental opportunities. Folks want to rent homes as well. Younger families who maybe not be able to put down a down payment, etc. I think that there's room for discussion there. Anything that we can done about building more single-family homes. We need more housing types of all type in order to keep up with what we believe is the demand in our area. And that demand, I might remind you, is largely from folks here in Bozeman or in the state of Montana. That when we're looking at who is actually living and moving into these folks' places, a lot of them are people who can now move out of a multi-tenant type situation. Instead of 4 roommates, they want 2 roommates, something along those lines as well. I believe that we do need more single-family units. We also need more townhomes, row homes, those cottage homes as well, which are single-family homes. We need more of those because we need a variety of housing types. When we as a commission talk about our vision for the future, it's neighborhoods that have a variety of housing types that goes everywhere from single-family to townhomes to row homes to smaller apartment buildings and neighborhood commercial, because we believe that the co-location of people in different stages of their life, different needs, different economic situations is a great thing for the entire area. And so as we as a commission are looking for those, we're making zoning decisions. Within those zoning decisions, if we zone something, say R4, that doesn't mean everything has to be R4. We would like to see R1 type, single-family homes, R2 type, townhomes, etc. We believe that there should be more sort of cohesive variety of housing types. And so we are working in our affordable housing ordinance specifically on how to generate more single-family homes. We put a placeholder in that. We have some incentives right now that's getting some traction. We know we need more work in that area. So the answer is, can more be done? Absolutely, and we're trying. What percentage of the city's budget goes to city police services? Any percent to the sheriff's services? These percentages grown since 1995. Is the proportion appropriate? I don't have those numbers, but if you come up to me afterwards and I can give you my card, I'll get you that information. You, as a citizen of Bozeman, if you're a citizen of Bozeman, are a taxpayer in Bozeman, and you're a taxpayer in the county. So I don't know that any of your tax dollars that go to law enforcement in Bozeman go to the sheriff's department. I don't think that's the case, but you are taxed as a county resident for those services. I will say that there's a lot of collaboration that takes place there. Missouri River Drug Task Force, some other units as well, where there is collaboration. But I don't know the answer to that question. I'll make sure that I get that to you. Public safety is a large percentage of our general fund. I can tell you that. What is going on in our community with ICE? I'll tell you what I know and what I believe, and that is that our police department is charged with enforcing the laws of our city. If someone breaks those laws and they are charged with those, so they're brought to a facility like the detention center, etc., we do not, as a city, it is beyond our charter to enforce federal immigration law. That's not what we are charged with doing. When ICE becomes involved, and I'm getting over my skis fairly quickly here, is if a person is brought to the detention center, that person is required to prove who they are. Part of that is whether or not they're a citizen, I believe. What is their status? Green card, immigrant, asylum seeker, etc. And those decisions are made in consultation, I believe, with Sheriff's Department and Immigration and Enforcement. So that is the dynamic that happens there. My understanding is that there is an attempt to have local deputized folk who can be at the detention center to help with those determinations. But that is my understanding of our relationship with ICE, that we as a city are not charged with or responsible for or asked to go out and do immigration checks in our city. Thank you for the informative presentation. Oh, there's more. Up until last year, our finite water supply seemed to be a top concern, to the point where we're considering a pipeline for the sake of community resiliency. Why did the modeling of reliable water supply change so significantly? Is Canyon Ferry pipeline still on the table? I can tell you that when I heard the concept of the Canyon Ferry pipeline, moving water from one basin to another, I did not agree with that. My colleagues on the commission did not agree with that. We did not ask for that project to move forward. I believe that my feeling, and again, this is me, is if we're looking for additional water supply, that we have innovative ways of doing that. First, through conservation. Second, through going and detecting and fixing leaks in our water system. Third, through hardening the control tower at Highlight that will allow us to draw water down a couple times a year. That'll make that a much more resilient basin in terms of water use. There's discussions of holding ponds, of putting water into our aquifers until needed. Again, my personal point of view is that we have the water that we need for the future in terms of supply. We don't always have it when we need it. How can we, through storage, through swapping of groundwater with other water, for working with other municipalities, for instance, Belgrade gets all of their water from groundwater. We get all of our water from surface water. Might there be a way to work together there? I think perhaps there is. So that's the first part, is the water supply. In terms of our tool and reliable water use, we did change the number. When I gave the State of the City last year, I believe that there was a calculation that said we may run out of water in a 50-year drought by the time of 2035. There is a more accurate water tool that is that has been developed and accounts for future development as well. So I think that conservation has been taken into account, and our future water needs based on current development patterns are being taken into account. Also, when I talked about the irrigation and landscaping standards, we now need to recognize that because that is a new reality, that new development will be using less water. So that's how I would answer that question. Nice. Hang on. And those are the questions that I have. So thank you all. I'll be around. Feel free to come up and if I don't have that information, the person who asked about percentage of police, please see me. I want to make sure that I get you that information. Thank you all for being here. Thanks for showing up and caring. I would encourage you. We got a lot of things that we're going to be talking about in terms of our future, and every single plan that I've ever seen developed gets better when we have a more robust conversation. So please, we're reaching out, and please stay engaged. Some of the most engaged people in our community are right in this room, and I can't tell you how much we value that. Thank you so much.